Have you ever heard a sound that makes your skin crawl? A sound so sad, so full of pain, it echoes in your nightmares? Imagine a cry that drifts on the night wind, a woman's wail, searching for something she can never find. This is the legend of the weeping woman, La Llorona. Her name itself sends a shiver down your spine, doesn't it? She is a whisper in the darkness, a warning carried on the breeze, a ghost story that feels terrifyingly real. Many have heard her tale, and some even claim to have heard her mournful call. The weeping woman is not just a figment of imagination. She is a specter born from tragedy, a mother whose grief has twisted into an eternal curse. She wanders the night, forever searching, forever crying. What is she looking for? You might not want to know. They say she walks near bodies of water. Let the shivers begin. The story of La Llorona isn't just one single neat tale. Some say her origins go way back, to the time of the Aztecs, long before Spanish ships ever touched the shores of the New World. They speak of an Aztec goddess, perhaps Cihuacoatl, who was seen weeping and crying out a warning before the conquest. This goddess, draped in white, was said to wander the night, lamenting the fate of her children, the Aztec people. Could this be the first echo of the weeping woman's sorrowful cry? Then, as time flowed like a murky river, other stories began to surface, especially during the colonial era. These tales often spoke of a beautiful indigenous woman, or a mestiza, who fell in love with a wealthy Spanish nobleman. He promised her the world, perhaps even marriage. But promises, as we know, can be broken. The betrayal cut deep, a wound that would fester and never truly heal, leading to an act of unspeakable horror. The variations of her story are as numerous as the stars in a cold night sky. Her origins may be shrouded in mist and time, but her presence, her terrifying wail, feels undeniably real to those who believe, and even to those who try not to. Let's focus on the most common version, the one that makes your blood run cold. Her name was Maria. They say she was the most beautiful woman in her village, with eyes as dark as the midnight sky and hair that flowed like a silken river. She was proud, perhaps too proud. She captured the attention of a dashing, wealthy nobleman. He showered her with gifts and affection, and soon they had two beautiful children. For a time, Maria believed she had found happiness, a love that would last forever. But forever can be a very short time, can't it? The nobleman, however, was not as constant as Maria had hoped. His visits became less frequent. His affections cooled. He began to speak of marrying a woman of his own class, a woman of society, leaving Maria and their children behind. Imagine Maria's heart. It shattered. The man she loved, the father of her children, was abandoning them. His words were like daggers, piercing her soul. One terrible evening, consumed by her grief and fury, Maria took her children to the river. In a fit of madness, wanting to hurt the man who had hurt her so deeply, or perhaps believing her children were better off dead than abandoned, she drowned them. As the small bodies disappeared beneath the dark, swirling waters, a horrifying clarity washed over Maria. Overcome with guilt and sorrow, Maria herself drowned in that same river, or perhaps she wandered its banks weeping and starving until death finally took her. But her spirit found no peace. So what does she look like, this weeping woman? If you were unlucky enough to encounter her, what would you see? Witnesses, those brave or foolish enough to share their tales, describe a tall, slender figure. She moves with an eerie grace, almost floating above the ground. Her presence is often preceded by a sudden, inexplicable chill in the air, even on the warmest nights, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones and makes your teeth chatter. You might feel an overwhelming sense of sadness, a despair that isn't your own, pressing down on you like a physical weight. She is almost always seen dressed in white, a long flowing gown, some say. Others describe it as a tattered shroud clinging to her ethereal form. The white of her dress stands out starkly against the darkness of the night, making her an unmistakable, terrifying apparition. Her face, however, is often obscured. Sometimes it's hidden by long, dark, stringy hair that falls around her like a veil. Other times her features are simply indistinct, a blur of sorrow and shadow. Her hands are often described as long and bony, reaching out as if searching for something or someone. And then there's her cry. "I, Miss Hijos." It echoes through the night, sometimes sounding distant, sometimes chillingly close. She is most often sighted near water sources. The water seems to draw her, to hold her captive. Section 5. The sound that freezes blood. Why her wail haunts. Why is the story of La Llorona so deeply frightening? What is it about this weeping ghost that sends shivers down our spines even after all these years? It's more than just a spooky figure in a white dress, reader. The terror of La Llorona comes from a much deeper, more primal place. It taps into some of our most fundamental fears. The fear of loss, especially the loss of a child, is a pain that resonates with almost everyone. Her story is a mother's grief amplified to a terrifying supernatural extreme. Her cry, "I miss hijos," is the core of her horror. It's not just a random ghostly moan, it's a lament filled with recognizable human emotion, sorrow, desperation, and an unending search. This makes her relatable, even as she terrifies. The legend also plays on the fear of the unknown and the unseen. She often appears in dark, lonely places near water, where shadows play tricks on the eyes and ordinary sounds can seem menacing. Furthermore, La Llorona is often seen as a punisher, particularly of children who misbehave or wander too close to dangerous waters. Section 6. Footprints by the river, real screams in the night. You might think La Llorona is just a story, something to scare children on a dark night. But many people, reader, swear they have encountered her. These aren't just old tales from centuries ago, these are modern accounts whispered with a conviction that will make your hair stand on end. People claim to have heard her unmistakable wail echoing along riverbeds or lonely roads late at night. A sound so mournful, so filled with despair, that it could only belong to the weeping woman. They describe a feeling of intense cold, an overwhelming sadness, and the unshakable sense of being watched. Imagine walking home alone, the streetlights casting long, eerie shadows. Suddenly you hear it, a faint cry carried on the breeze. You stop, listening. It comes again, closer this time. A woman weeping. But there's no one there, just the darkness and the sound. Many accounts describe this exact scenario. Some have even seen a fleeting glimpse of a figure in white, vanishing as quickly as she appeared. Section 7. The shadow in our minds, the legend's psychological grip. Why does the legend of La Llorona cling so tightly to our collective psyche? It's not just the jump scares or the ghostly apparitions. The true power of this story lies in its deep psychological hooks, the way it taps into our innermost anxieties and emotions. The weeping woman embodies profound human experiences, grief, guilt, betrayal, and the terrifying consequences of actions driven by overwhelming passion. These are emotions we all understand, even if we haven't experienced them to such a destructive degree. Her story is a dark mirror reflecting potential human failings. The figure of the grieving mother is a powerful archetype. Motherhood is often associated with nurturing, protection, and unconditional love. La Llorona twists this image into something horrific. She is the mother who destroys, the nurturer who becomes a threat. Section 8. Woven into culture more than just a ghost story. La Llorona is far more than just a spooky tale to tell around a crackling campfire, reader. She is deeply woven into the cultural fabric of many communities, particularly in Latin America and the southwestern United States. Her story is a living piece of folklore, passed down through generations, not just as entertainment, but as a carrier of cultural values, warnings, and shared anxieties. She appears in songs, poems, books, plays, and films, each iteration adding new dimensions to her complex and terrifying persona. Her legend often reflects historical and social contexts, the themes of betrayal, particularly by a man of higher social standing, and the tragic consequences faced by a woman, often of indigenous or mestiza heritage, resonate with historical power imbalances and injustices. La Llorona can be seen as a symbol of resistance, a voice for the marginalized, her eternal cry a lament for losses that go beyond her own children, perhaps the loss of culture, land, or identity. Her story, in this light, becomes a powerful commentary, veiled in the supernatural. The weeping woman also serves as a moral compass, albeit a terrifying one. Section 9. Forever weeping, forever feared, her endless vigil. So, the night grows darker and the wind seems to whisper a mournful name. La Llorona. Her story has chilled you, hasn't it? It's a tale that sinks its icy fingers into your heart and refuses to let go. From her murky origins, lost in the mists of time and the confluence of cultures, to the raw, visceral horror of Maria's tragic deed, the weeping woman embodies a unique and enduring terror. Her spectral form, clad in white, her face hidden by shadows and sorrow, is an image that haunts the imagination long after the story is told. The power of her legend lies not just in the ghostly encounters, but in the deep emotional and psychological chords it strikes. The fear of loss, the terror of a mother's grief turned monstrous, the chill of a cry that promises only sorrow and danger. These elements make La Llorona more than just a simple phantom. She is a complex figure, a tragic villain, a sorrowful victim, and a terrifying predator, all wrapped into one ethereal package. Her wail is a symphony of despair, a sound that resonates with primal fears and societal anxieties. And so, the weeping woman continues her endless vigil. She walks the lonely riverbanks, her cry piercing the silence of the night, forever searching for her lost children.